Good day, my plant foldies. This is Richie at Grow Folds, and today we'll be big box store plant shopping at the Lowe's in Allen, Texas. As always, please make sure you're hitting that like button for this video, as well as following me on Instagram at Grow Folds. Also, subscribe to my channel with the notification bell on if you enjoy 1 hour plant shopping videos daily, in addition to a live premiere chat. So our plant foldies, and for those that are new to this channel, I call my viewers and subscribers plant foldies. I will be doing an early evening plant shopping video just to see if this particular Lowe's has any new plants in stock. It is early summer in North Texas, which is where I'm based at. So we're gonna just see what kind of plants they have available. As you can see here, most of the Lowe's has all of these Croton petras. We've got a bunch of mandevilla flowers. We've got some hibiscus flowers here, and you can see right here, these are beautiful Croton petras, and I really like the fact that a lot of the top leaves are yellow. And in with crotons, they are a more challenging plant to grow indoors. They prefer a lot of light, so if you grow them outdoors in full sun, actually they will do very well. When you bring these crotons indoors though, they don't do as well because they don't get the amount of light that they need. So if you're going to grow that particular plant, you're going to need to provide it a lot of light. But as you can see here, these are one of my this particular Lowe's is actually a Lowe's I like to shop at, just because there are plenty of plants. They typically have a nice organization of plants. I have been able to find some rare and uncommon plants at this Lowe's. So we're just going to see what kind of plants that they have at this location. You can see that they typically have this little setup at the beginning of any Lowe's location. We've got a bunch of bromeliads right over here. I love bromeliads. I've grown to like them a lot just because they have so many varieties. You can see right here, look at how beautiful the leaves are. It looks like, you know, somebody just spray painted those colors. You know, bromeliads to me are very fascinating plants. I didn't really know that they had such a variety of plants. And if you go to Lowe's, you will find a lot of those. And then you can also see here, they've got these better grow orchids in bamboo containers. These are Phalaenopsis orchids right over here. I do like the fact that this particular plant supplier is starting to be more green conscious in terms of not using plastic to you know, house the plants. I really like that a lot. When you think about all of the big box store plant shopping videos I've done, you'll see that there are so many plants that are in plastic containers. I just feel like a lot of these plants may end up just going into the trash, so that carbon footprint in general might be a lot. So I just feel like, you know, more nurseries, plant suppliers should go a little bit more on the greener side. So it's always nice to see more biodegradable planters. But, you know, I digress and talk about the plants right now. You can see here, we've got a bunch of orchids. Really like the look of this particular orchid as well. You know, Phalaenopsis orchids, I have grown to like them over the amount of time I've spent just doing plant shopping videos. You know, I am pretty much in every big box store or some type of local plant nursery every day, just so I can film content. And you can see here, we've got a bunch of Majesty palms here by Costa Farms. Now, these are for $22.98. Now, with Majesty palms, they get fairly large and they require quite a bit of light. So for me, I wouldn't be able to really grow a Majesty palm in my specific space in my home. They might do well outdoors in a like shaded area that gets a lot of bright indirect light in the morning. And then you can see here, so Live Trends, I am a huge fan of Live Trends in the fact that they have very stylish looking planters. They have really upped their game in terms of having all of these very stylish, modern, contemporary looking planters. These are self-watering planters right here. You can see this is an Epipremnum pinnatum Cebu Blue, and I always love seeing Epipremnum pinnatum Cebu Blue just because my family is originally from the Philippines, and Epipremnum pinnatum varieties are very endemic to the Philippines. You can find them all over, just growing in the wild. And that's the thing, I am super excited that next week I will be taking a trip to the Philippines for about 18 days. I haven't been back in more than 10 years, so I will definitely have a lot of plant footage that I will film. That content will actually be released when I come back from the Philippines. So, you know, starting next week on Thursday, I will be running a bunch of plant shopping marathons and compilations. So for my loyal plant foldies, I hope that you will still engage and watch my videos. I've noticed that there was just a slight decline in the viewership, and I don't know if it's necessarily because people have gotten busy or maybe I need to go give more new content. So please let me know, plant foldies, what I can do to make sure that I keep you guys engaged. I am always open to feedback. But you can see over here, I'm still looking at a bunch of these live transplanters. Really like the look of this one as well. I think that it just has such a nice modern feel to a lot of the planters that Live Trends does, as well as Urban Jungle. Oftentimes we go to a big box store and typically we'll see a lot of like Costa Farms plants, but it's always nice to see Urban Jungle plants as well as Live Trend plants. You can see right here, Live Trends has a bunch of those hydroponic situations where they're literally growing those dracaenas in just straight water. And for those that have followed my videos, you already know that I grow a lot of my hard to take care of plants in hydroponics. For instance, calatheas. Ever since I put a calathea in just straight water and grew it there, I haven't had to worry about watering it because obviously it's already in water. And then just the fact that it's in water, and it also has that ambient humidity. But you can see here, I'm gonna walk through the outdoor section portion of this Lowe's first, but we're gonna just pan over here and you can just see some of my indoor selections as well. I do love the look of that particular plant. All of these plants right here, you can see that this particular Lowe's location has all of their plants merchandised. They're full and impactful. You can see that they have a bunch of these Phalaenopsis orchids right here. We've got a bunch of bromeliads, and for the most part, I would say Lowe's does an amazing job keeping up with their plant styling, their plant merchandising, and just keeping things nice and organized and full. And you can even see right over here, I'm just going to look at some of these plants. They've got a bunch of hanging baskets, and I always enjoy looking at the Live Trends plants. They typically have an end cap full of that. And then I'm going to walk over here. So we're just going to see things out, outside first. I know a lot of you guys might be into the more indoor tropical plants, but I also enjoy outdoor gardening, outdoor landscaping, just outdoor plants in general. So I will be featuring some of these as well. So you can see right off the bat, whenever you go plant shopping at night, there's not a lot of traffic. And so it's easier to just kind of walk around and look at plants. For me, whenever I do these plant shopping videos, whether it's early in the morning or late at night like this, it's very therapeutic. So plant foldies, I'm just curious, do you find just like plant shopping therapeutic? I really love the look of the plants as well. I mean, look at this right there. We've got some coleus plants, and it's really nice to just be by myself, just filming these plants and really admiring their foliage and what they look like. See right over here, they've got a bunch of assorted succulents and cactus. This is a type of plant that I really need to get myself educated. So for plant foldies watching this, you already know I'm not really as versed about succulents. So typically I'll just say assorted succulents in the subtitles. Most succulents that I know would be more of the crassula or jade succulents. I do find these like spray painted cactus not really a thing for me. Like I'm not really a fan of those jarring colors. I like more of a natural look for the plants. Same thing with all of those like plastic things that they've attached onto the succulents on the bottom left hand corner. But you can see here, Lowe's and most big box stores in general will carry a lot of assorted succulents. I would say buying succulents at a big box store is a little bit more cost effective. You can see right here, this one right here is really nice as well. This is a nice looking aloe vera. This is an aloe Christmas sleigh. It looks super cool. It looks almost like starfish right here. I really love the red borders around this particular aloe plant. And I didn't even really realize that there's so many different varieties of aloe vera plants. When you think of aloe vera plants, you just think of that normal green one that you'll see, but there's so many interesting varieties. Same thing with this one right over here. This one is a variegated agave plant. Agave in general just have so many different varieties as well. This is from the Altman Reserve series. Now, I love Altman plants. Altman plants are basically the plants that are sourced at the majority of big box stores. I would say Walmart typically has them, and Lowe's and Home Depot as well. It's interesting because if you get lucky, especially at Walmart, Sometimes you'll run into the Altman plant vendor that is doing clearancing on the plants, which reminds me, on Tuesdays, I have a routine of checking specific Walmarts to see if they, mark down the price. So that's another tip I would tell anybody that is into plant shopping. If you are able to check randomly, or even more so on schedule, to see when particular big box stores will clearance out their plants, I would definitely recommend it, just because I have gotten super lucky about going to a specific big box store and seeing a plant vendor marking down their plant pricing. So for instance, like philodendron pink princess, I've been able to find that instead of it paying $24.47, I've been able to find them for like $5. So again, plant foldies, especially for those that live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, if you haven't already, please make sure you are subscribed to my channel. I am doing my very best to do 1-hour plant shopping videos, so you will get all of the live updates of what plants are available specifically in North Dallas, or what plants look like in terms of plant pricing. But you can see this Lowe's at night, plant foldies, it's just very relaxing. And look at how interesting that aloe vera plant is on the right, and in all of this. So this is a cactus that I am familiar with. This is a golden barrel cactus. Look at how spiky that particular cactus is. It's quite interesting. It's very dangerous too when you think about how prickly it is. And then as I pan around over here, you've got some different types of succulent arrangements. We've got some in cages, we've got some in a rabbit planter, and then we've got some hanging baskets of succulents here. So I've recently been able to find some really interesting hanging baskets of succulents right here. This is a Peperomia Ruby Cascade, for instance. I really like the look of the leaves. You can see that they are just a nice coin shape, just a nice round color, or round shaped leaf for that. And then we've got some type of string of something. I'm not as versed with all of the strings of pearls and all of that kind of stuff, but you can see here, this is Oasis plants right here. They also have a bunch of little succulent arrangements. I find the succulent arrangements really cool. I wouldn't necessarily put them in my plant collection. I recently added 2 succulents. They were 2 different Eoniums. They were like the pink variegated varieties. I ended up buying that at North Haven Gardens, which is another local plant nursery in the Dallas area. So if you haven't already, please check out that video. It is amazing. And then you can see right over here, if you ever want to get fertilizer and plant supplies, big box stores are another place I would recommend. Miracle Grow is actually a really good all-purpose type of fertilizer. I would recommend it. I've used it. Some people aren't into it, but I mean, for me, I just use a general all-purpose Miracle Grow fertilizer, as well as Osmocote. Osmocote is another slow-releasing type of fertilizer. And that's the thing about growing plants. Like, obviously you want to make sure that you're watering them consistently, but in order for them to really maximize their size, you want to give them plant nutrients. So like, even being on schedule for fertilizing your plant would be one of those things that I would recommend. Now, I would say over fertilizing will definitely damage the plant. Sometimes doing less fertilization will go a long way. But that's just my, my experience with my plant growing. I know that all-purpose Miracle Grow fertilizer really works for me. And over here, you can see this is an Aglonema White Rain. This one is for $29.98 in a 10-inch planter. Love aglonemas. I love the white stem aglonemas specifically. And Lowe's typically carries a lot of those aglonemas. If you don't already have an aglonema, I would highly recommend it, just because aglonemas are low light tolerant. They don't have to be watered as often, and it's easy to just grow. Now, the only drawback about aglonema is they can get legs. I would say aglonema are a little bit slower in their growth. So if you like plants that are a little bit more vigorous like me, then aglonema may not give you that satisfaction of like new growth. Otherwise, it is an easy plant. It's one plant I would highly recommend for anybody that wants an easy to care for plant. Now, I'm taking a look at this Creeping Jenny hanging basket. I think this is beautiful as well. Creeping Jenny, look at that. It's just got a beautiful neon color. And these ones I believe are for $19.98 in a hanging basket. basket. Now, as far as creeping Jenny, I'm not 100% sure if this is a plant that's really meant to be grown as like an outdoor patio type plant, or if this is a plant that can grow sustainably indoors. Let me know in the comments, plant foldies, what you think. If you grow creeping Jenny, I think it's a beautiful plant. I want to be able to grow more hanging basket plants in my plant collection. The only problem is I typically don't want to like drill a bunch of holes in my space. I've recently got a lot of my plants together, and it's with me going to a vacation, I just feel like I'm a little bit overwhelmed when it comes to just how I want to style my plants. Hence the reason why I haven't done a full plant shopping, well, actually not plant shopping, but a plant home tour. But don't worry, plant foldies, I will have that available for you guys very, very soon. And you can see we've got a bunch of clearance planters right here. I'm just going to spin around and see what other plants that they have here. I do love the fact that, night shopping, plant shopping at a big box store is so relaxing when it is at night, because I'm just going to pan over here and just kind of walk around and show you what else I can find at this location. It is also nice to go plant shopping at night because it's not as hot. North Dallas, we're getting temperatures as close to almost 100 degrees, and it is just very brutal when you're out and about. You can see here, we've got some beautiful hibiscus right here. I love that orange flowering bloom right here of hibiscus. Hibiscus remind me of the Philippines as well, because they have so many hibiscus flowers. Those plants just grow so well in a tropical climate. And then as you can see over here, they've got some more shelves full of plants. I believe these are some mandevilla flowers. And yes, we have some mandevilla flowers right over here. And then we've got a bunch of like mixed containers by Proven Winner. So we've got a bunch of coleus plants next to a canna lily. I really like the look of that as well. Coleus plants, they are one of my favorite plants. They are my current plant obsession because they're easy to care for, and literally you can just cut this top part off, stick it in soil, and you'll have a new plant within a week. They root that quickly. The only drawback about a coleus plant is that they require a lot of water. I find myself having to water my coleus plants at least twice a day now, once in the morning and then once in the late afternoon, because if I don't water them in the morning, by the time I get off from work, they're almost on the brink of death, and it's just kind of scary because they get very they just start to really droop, and if you allow them to droop too much, they start to crisp up, and that's when you run into some problems. But overall, I would recommend coleus plants for people, as well as a cordyline kiwi. Like, this is a beautiful plant. The only thing about cordyline plants is, again, they do better grown outdoors. I would even say that about alocasia. So if you're an alocasia plant parent and somebody that really likes alocasia, I found that growing alocasia outdoors makes it easier. And I've talked about this in some of my previous videos, but if you have a plant that literally is struggling, I have found that if I just chop it down to the base, stick it outside in a shaded patio that gets, a lot of bright morning sunlight, and grow it outdoors, you can rehab a plant that way. They just put on so much growth. And it's the same thing with your philodendron or any other plants that you really want to size up. If you grow them outdoors during the late spring and summertime, they will put on so much growth as compared to just growing the plants indoors. I think it's because they have the ambient humidity, as well as just natural predators that keep the plant pests away, and then you're able to water them at least on a more frequent basis. For me, I struggle with the watering portion of plant care. Like, I am just so busy with my work that sometimes I let some plants just get a little bit too underwatered, meaning I don't water them for like 2 to 3 weeks when they should be watered every week. So that's my problem. But when you're growing them outdoors, it's easy to just take a hose and just hose everything down. And then over here, you can see that these are all of these oasis succulent cactus plants. This one is a opuntia. I do like the look of opuntia plants. I think they're really pretty. And then we've got some type of euphorbia right over here. Gotta love some euphorbias. This one is a really interesting looking one. It looks like pencil sticks. I really like the look of this one as well. And then for the most part, this is only for $39.98. That is actually a really good price. Now with succulents, not all succulents are vigorous growers. I still have to really know which one. So I don't really want to comment on which ones are fast growers because I haven't really taken care of them. Now I do love crassula. plants or jade plants. So this one right here is a jade ogre ears one. Really like the look at that. This one is also for $39.98, so about $40, but you get a large succulent plant. Now, as far as succulents, growing them in the landscape in my grow zone, North Dallas is 8B, I wouldn't be able to grow them long term because I think that the freeze would just really take them out. I would love to be able to grow more succulents, but I think even the climate for my area, it doesn't really give them a sustainable environment. Like you can see over here, we've got an echeveria. It's a really nice looking plant, but I have noticed that I thought actually that succulents can grow in full sun and in heat, and that is not necessarily the case. So I'm actually growing the aeoniums that I bought, these beautiful pink aeoniums, in a west facing window, so it gets a lot of intense afternoon light, and that's about it. But they're still doing very well. They get a lot of light for sure. And then as you can see here, I'm just going to keep walking around and showing you all of these outdoor plants here. I mean, there is not really a single soul out here, which is really cool because it makes it fun for me to just be able to film plant footage right here. I mean, you can see here we've got another type of coleus plant. Look at how beautiful that red orange look is on this particular plant. If you haven't started growing a coleus plant, there are so many coleus plants that are available at local plant nurseries and as well as big box stores. And the same thing with caladiums. Like, look at the beautiful coloration of caladiums. Some people are not into caladiums. I definitely am into caladiums because I like the colorful look of these leaves. You know, I am all about that color. I am all about, you know, solid green plants. I just love plants in general, but caladiums, plant folies, let me know what you think. Do you grow caladiums? Have you grown caladiums indoors? Is it something that you would be interested in? Now with caladium plants, they do need shaded areas. They will burn if they get too much sun. So that's the only drawback with plants. I always say if a plant can tolerate full sun, that makes them easy if you're growing them outdoors. Now, if you want to grow a plant that can tolerate lower light conditions, it's definitely easier to find a low light tolerant plant. Like low light tolerant, easy to care for plants I would recommend would be like Sansevieria, snake plants, Aglaonema, Dracaena. So plant foldies, just do a search and check out those plants. I am here to just recommend plants. Now, not all plants for everybody, not all growing substrates are for everybody. You know, I talked about growing plants in just straight water. That may not necessarily be your thing. Some people have grown plants in leca. I have a couple of plants that I am growing in leca, but for the most part, I just like plants and just growing them in different mediums. So I am curious, plant foldies, like what plants do you really like growing? I'd like to see that in the comments, as well as just, you know, what plants give you a lot of trouble. It is nice to be able to engage with you guys during a plant shopping video, but also to be able to respond to your comments. But you can see we've got some begonias here. We've got a bunch of Epipremnum aureum, golden pothos. Now this one is for $19.98, and I always recommend this pothos plant because it's beautiful, it's easy to grow, you can propagate it so you can get more free plants, and they are forgiving if you underwater them, more so than maybe a syngonium plant. And then you can see over here, I wish I could grow a purple, a purple plant like this potato vine, but these potato vines need to grow outdoors. They like full sun, they like the heat. They are fast growers and they're easy to propagate from water propagation. It's just that if you take them indoors, they are highly susceptible to spider mites. And, you know, a lot of times a plant will get a plant pest because it doesn't have the most optimal growing conditions. They're more susceptible to pests. I think it's because they might release some type of pheromone that, lets pests know that their health is not necessarily at the best. And so that's why plant foldies, I would say, be cautious about the plants that you take back inside. Like I want to go grow this Alternanthera, for instance, indoors. Right now it's currently growing outdoors. I have it in a container because I do just like that neon green foliage about it. I am growing it in full sun, but it would be something that I would like to experiment and grow indoors. That's something that I've been looking at, because typically whenever you think about like an indoor plant, you think about an indoor tropical plant, but there are so many different varieties of plants that you can potentially grow indoors, and that would be one of them. And also these coleus plants. Like most people will think that a coleus plant, and this one is for $4.98, would think that coleus plants are plants that you would just grow in an outdoor container or maybe a flower bed. But so many people actually grow coleus plants indoors. They're super easy to take care of, very easy to propagate. Literally, it's probably the easiest plant I have ever run into to propagate. It doesn't necessarily need to have a node in order for you to take a cutting and stick it in soil or water. I thought about just doing water propagations, but then I realized, why put it in water propagation and have one more step when you can just put them straight into soil. So that's what I've been doing, and I have literally multiplied my coleus plant collection. Like, I have this particular coleus right here. The leaves have gotten larger, and I got it for $4.98 again. I mean, look at how beautiful the colors are on this particular coleus plant. And what I like is coleus plants, again, you can overwinter them or take them into indoors or for the winter and store a bunch of cuttings. You can mostly you can take a bunch of cuttings, take most of the leaves off, they will root, and then just kind of be semi-dormant for the winter. And then when you're ready to bring them out during the spring, when growing conditions are more optimal, you can plant them in the in a pot or even in soil, and you'll have a bunch of coleus plants. So you won't have to buy them year after year. At least that's what I intend to do with my coleus collection. But anyways, plant foldies, I am going to walk back inside and just take a look at some more of these plants right over here. You can see that Lowe's, especially this Lowe's, has a really good way about merchandising their plants. One thing that I did want to point out here is that they always have Vanda orchids. Like, look at how beautiful this Vanda orchid is. And now with Vanda orchids specifically, they like to be in more like a hanging basket or hanging crate, because they like their roots to be more exposed in just full air. They are epiphytes, meaning that they just kind of attach themselves to like trees in the wild. And I love Vanda orchids. Whenever I think about a Vanda orchid, I think about a beautiful Vanda orchid called a waling, which is a beautiful rare orchid out in the Philippines. It is kind of sad that particular orchid, which is just so beautiful and majestic, is a plant that is endangered. And you think about all of the plants that you see, these tropical plants that we see at big box stores, it has to come from a source. And unfortunately, there are some plant sellers out here that have poached plants from the wild. So it's not like a sustainable source. And I would always just, recommend caution. Like, as much as we love plants, just think about where that plant might specifically be sourced. There's just a lot of plant poaching that happens, and that's the reason why certain plants become endangered and even become extinct, because of just the over cultivating a plant and poaching them from the wild. And you can see over here though, Pachira aquatica, this is a plant that will not go extinct. I mean, there's just so many Pachira aquatica or money tree plants. This is another plant that is quite common to find at any big box store or local grocery store. I have done a lot of plant shopping at local grocery stores, and I would say even at local grocery stores, you'll save a lot of money over there. I'm all about plant, saving money, having a plant budget, and really looking at your finances when it comes to plants. I know that I've been over budget. I have to really scale it back since I am taking a very lavish vacation to the Philippines. And if you are on my Instagram account, which is at Growfold, you'll be able to see many updates of my adventures in the Philippines on my Instagram story. So if you haven't already, please make sure you are following me on Instagram. I would love to interact with you, engage with you, send me a direct message. I respond to pretty much everybody. And then over here for $22.98 is another urban jungle container of Epipremnum aureum pearls and jade. Now, Epipremnum aureum pearls and jade is a plant that is sometimes mistaken for the enjoy pothos. And then over here, we've got a Philodendron heteroraceum Brazil. What a beautiful plant. And then over here, we've got a Philodendron heteroraceum, just the green form right over here. What a beautiful looking plant. I really enjoy the look of this particular plant here. And then this is another plant that, for the most part, I would say is an easy to care for plant. Now, if you give it more bright indirect light, it will be more of a vigorous grower. Now, but when you compare it to a pothos plant, Philodendron heteroraceum are a little bit slower growing as compared to that, at least in my experience. But as you can see over here as I pan away, there's so many different varieties of plants you can buy at a Lowe's plant. Like, we've got a bunch of hanging baskets here. This is for $22.98. What a beautiful green marantha. So I recently snagged a nice Marantha silver band, and that was more of an uncommon plant, you know, maybe a year or two ago. I noticed that there are more and more silver band maranthas popping up at like big box stores, so that's super cool. And then also the green marantha, like I love the look of it. And the cool thing about marantha plants is they are similar to calatheas, but they're not as finicky or fussy as like a calathea, if that makes any sense. Their level of care still is the same requirement, but I believe that even this like particular marantha right here is a little bit more forgiving. Same thing with the Nanthe plants. Like I recently got a Never Thinanthe plant, that green on green variegation, and I got it on clearance at Lowe's, and it is doing absolutely well for me. And then this is a beautiful philodendron plant find right here. I'm not sure what particularly this philodendron is, so plant foldies, leave it in the comments if you know, but look at how large the leaves are on this particular philodendron. That is another stunner here. I am a fan. Unfortunately, the new leaf unfurled with a little bit of leaf damage. That happens, but this one right here is for $22.98 again by Urban Jungle. So Urban Jungle has some amazing plants, amazing planters. If I had to choose a really stylish plant source though, I would say Live Trends by far takes the crown. But you know, Costa Farms is amazing, so is Urban Jungle, so is Growers Bench, so is Mason Farms. Those are all plant nurseries that provide a lot of these big box store plants. Now this one right over here is a Dracaena Dorado in a planter as well. I do like the look of Dracaena Dorado. It is a larger size Dracaena, or it has the potential to become very large. I like more of the compact Dracaenas, but again, Dracaenas are another plant that is super underrated when it comes to people wanting to buy plants and growing them in their plant collections. You can even see over here, we've got all of these aerial roots from this Vanda orchid. I love the look of that as well. You know, Vanda orchids, I grew one before. It didn't do well for me because they do need some humidity, higher humidity, and a little bit more light. Highlight, actually. They need bright light in order for them to really do well. They get a lot of their water just from the air. Now, if you're gonna go water a Vanda orchid, all you have to do is stick the aerial roots in a bucket of water, soak it for a few minutes, and pull it out, and that is it. You'll know that it's fully soaked because the actual aerial roots will become more of a greenish tone versus silver. And then you'll know when a Vanda orchid or any orchid is needing to get watered, because the roots are going to be a little bit more of a grayish color versus green. And then over here, golden pothos, super easy to care for plant, low light tolerant. Water when it's about 50% dry, and you should be good to go. They can tolerate being a little bit more overwatered as well, but for the most part, I would have caution in terms of not overwatering your pothos plant unless you are growing that plant strictly in water, because there's a difference between soil roots and water roots. So whenever you're transitioning, for instance, a plant that was growing in soil into just straight water, there is a little bit of that the root that rots off, and you have to just wait for the roots to convert back into water roots. Over here is a Sansevieria plant, or a snake plant. These are snake plants I like to grow, actually. This is for $12.98. I do like the container it's in as well. And these type of Sansevieria, the ones that are a little bit thicker and rounder, I prefer. I like the Fernwood Sansevieria, the Starfish Sansevieria versus the Sansevieria trifasciatas, which are typically the snake plants you'll see. I just feel like they are more forgiving and just easier to grow. And then over here for $13.98, you've got a bunch of flowering anthuriums. They are super common. And then we have a bunch of little tiny plant collection here. This one is a Peperomia Golden Gate. So I am so thankful that Costa Farms actually featured my Instagram reel for Costa Farms Tiny Plants collection. If you haven't gotten a chance to check it out. Check out Costa Farms Instagram. My reel is there, and I just love the fact that they gave me some recognition on that. I'm really trying to grow my social media platforms, especially on YouTube. It has become a daily plant shopping routine for me. And I hope that you guys continue to follow me on my journey. I can't thank all of the plant foldies enough, especially the regulars that always tune into the live premiere chats. I did feel really bad that I didn't have a live premiere last night. I meant to premiere this video last night, but with work being so busy, and then I just really wanted to take some time for myself. Like, I wanted to have a nice dinner. I ended up going with somebody very special to me to eat Vietnamese food. I love Vietnamese food. So for anybody that's from Vietnam or is Vietnamese, y'all's food is amazing. But it was a really nice, relaxing night for me. So I am recharged and I am able to get this video edited and uploaded today for a nice plant party. So hopefully you guys are participating. But that's the thing about doing plant YouTube and plant shopping videos. There are seasons where I believe there's a little bit more engagement. Hopefully I can retain your all's engagement by showing you all of these beautiful plants. I rely on the consistency of my plant shopping videos. I think that people have given me that feedback. They really do look forward to like all of my plant shopping videos and being able to chat with other plant foldies. And I love that. Now this is really expensive, $18.98 for pretty much a water propagation. I wouldn't pay that, but this is an example of a Dracaena Janet Craig compacta in hydroponics, so just straight water. So plant foldies, let me know in the comments if you do grow plants in just straight hydroponics. What are your thoughts? I do like the vessel that this is in. I think it is very stylish and beautiful. I just don't know if I would actually invest, spending $18.98 when I can buy this for like $13.98, wash out the soil and stick it in like a vessel of my my choice. I am planning on making sure I water all my plants, really taking care of my plants this weekend, really getting that all settled. Whenever you go on a vacation, I'm just curious, plant foldies, do you have somebody come at your house to take care of your plants, or do you just kind of water them and hope that they won't die? I'd love to know in the comments, and I'd also love to know in the comments what you think about this Epipremnum aureum Marble Queen pothos. Beautiful pothos. I love pothos plants. There's certain plant foldies like Steven at I Lift Plants who collect pothos plants. There was one plant, I might actually get it today at Callaway's. It's called a Neon Queen pothos, where it's like a variegated neon pothos. That's really cool. And then over here, we've got some more live trends plants. This one is a Dracaena. Look at how beautiful that is. Like, why would people not grow a Dracaena plant like this? Some people would just say that it's a common plant, but it's an easy to care for plant. And it is a plant that I would highly recommend. I just think it's so cool. I think it's beautiful, as well as this right here. This is for $22.98 by Urban Jungle. I just wish that this particular planter was more of a solid color and like even just a solid terracotta planter. I love this. This is one of my favorite philodendrons. I don't have it currently in my collection. This is a philodendron lemon lime. Look at how beautiful that is. I love neon plants just as much as I love pink plants, and I love dark foliage plants. So those are really my three go-to type plant colors. What a beautiful looking plant it is. I mean, look at this. Now with philodendrons that are more neon color or more neon colored type plants, they do require a lot more bright light in order to really be more of that neon color or even be yellow. So just make sure you are providing that bright indirect lighting conditions. This particular philodendron though does need to have a pole or some type of stake for it because its growth habit wants to grow up a pole. So we're gonna pan away and just see what other plants that they have available here. That's the thing about this Lowe's location. They typically keep their plants super full. I enjoy it. I just enjoy looking at all the different plants that they have available. And we're going to just take a look at some of these. So we've got some more hanging baskets of live trends. And I love these ceramic planters. Like this one I can work with. And look, there's a little bit of some sport variegation on this Epipremnum aureum neon pothos. Look at how beautiful that is. And I love that stylish looking hanging basket. It does have like more of a leather string to hold it up. I'm almost tempted to buy these hanging baskets just because they look so cute. I mean, plant folies, let me know in the comments what you think. I mean, look at this one right over here. This is another beautiful plant. Love it. And I love the orange tone. I love the variegation. Now this one is an Epipremnum aureum pearls and jade pothos. It almost looks like an Enjoy pothos, but the difference is this one has more of a lighter green tone to it. And Enjoy really has a very distinct contrast of green and white variegation. There isn't really like a cream or speckling around it. Now that particular pothos plant does grow a little bit less vigorous as compared to the neon pothos, and I would say this pothos is just a Epipremnum aureum jade pothos, or the green variety, the original green pothos. Beautiful plant again, and look at how stylish that planter is. There's just a certain level of elegance that Live Trends does. I love stylish planters. I try to maintain the same look for all of my planters. So typically I have cream planters, white planters, and pink planters. I don't really have a lot of textures. I'm call me more of a minimalist, but I really like the look of that. But what beautiful plants Urban Jungle and Live Trends has. Look at this, is another Live Trends hanging basket of the red Marantha right over here. Now this is for $22.98. Gotta love the red Marantha, and look at that. There's just so many beautiful varieties. And then we also have an Epipremnum aureum there. We also have this really nice looking planter. I could do without all of the paint. It is a fun looking one, but look at how cute that is. This is also by Live Trends. This one is just a ZZ plant, a regular ZZ plant. And I will say with ZZ plants, one of the easiest plants to take care of. They are a little bit slower in growth, but not that slow. Some people make it sound like, ZZ plants take forever to grow. It really depends. If you give it a lot more bright indirect light, they're a little bit more vigorous. But you can see what a beautiful little planter that they're in. And then we've got all of these self-watering planters for $12.98. These are some different varieties of this particular Sansevieria. I do like the look of it. They're super easy. I have a Sansevieria starfish that I don't water but maybe once every 2 months, and it's still doing fine. This one is another type of Sansevieria. I believe this might be the Fernwood Sansevieria. Plant Foldies, leave it in the comments if I have the correct plant ID. Again, I don't really call myself a plant expert. I just go by what I have learned over the years. And then you can see over here, this is a braided type of Sansevieria in a self-watering planter. Really like the look of it. And we've got some leather lace as like an accent on the planter. The only critique I have for Live Trends plants is I don't really like the look of the artificial moss. I think they could do without it. I honestly think that they would do better using like orchid bark or just bark in general if they want to put like top soil. But you can see over here they've got some more hanging baskets, and we've got some more plants right over here. That one is an air plant. And what else do we have? This is a silver band Marantha, and look at how beautiful that planter is. I love the silver look, and not silver look, but the light blue look on that, and then also just the look of the silver band Marantha. What a cool looking Marantha right there. I ended up finding one on sale for $2.99 in a small starter planter for $2.99. And that's the thing, Plant Foldies, sometimes I just buy and acquire plants by getting the smaller plants. I always feel like, there's certain times where I'm like, okay, I want instant gratification. Let me buy a more large, a large developed plant. But then the majority of the times I'll buy smaller plants because I intend to grow them. It does take effort to grow, but if you grow a small plant, it will give you a lot of satisfaction because you grew it from such a small size. It's always interesting to see how plants will grow, and I feel like that's part of plant parenthood, is to actually be able to grow plants to a good size. And then over here we've got another type of Vanda orchid plant. Really like the look of Vanda orchids as well. They have some really nice aerial roots. I find the aerial roots really cool, and notice how like the bloom just comes out of the shoot like this, and then you see all of these beautiful purple flowers. Like these Vanda orchids definitely have a royal vibe about them, that the majestic look of purple. Purple is a color of royalty, or it's considered that, and this is definitely royalty for sure. see there are several Vanda orchids right over here. This is another variety, and look at how massive the aerial roots are. Gotta love me some Vanda orchids. They remind me of the Philippines because there's quite a bit of Vanda orchids. And that's the thing about big box store plant shopping. I would say Lowe's definitely has such a variety of different types of orchids. They don't just have like the Phalaenopsis orchids. They've got Vanda orchids, they've got Cattleya orchids, they've got Dendrobium orchids, they've got a lot of different types of orchids. Another place to buy orchids too, if I would recommend, is also buying them at Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's is another grocery store that has a lot of cost-effective plant pricing. You can definitely save a lot of money buying at Trader Joe's as well. And you can see over here, this is a kokedama, it's a kokedama hanging basket of some Phalaenopsis orchids. So I'm just going to show you a couple more of these orchids right over here. Over here we've got some Hydra Helix. This one is called the Hedera Helix, or English Ivy. This is the Pamela Ivy. And for my new viewers, I mispronounce Hedera Helix as Hydra Helix, just because for the longest time I was mispronouncing it as Hydra Helix when I first did plant shopping videos. It is a Grow Folds plant foldy type inside joke. I don't know why you all like to count how many times I say Hydra Helix, but that's the thing for this channel. So hopefully it's not too cringy for some people. I actually smile when I say it. I've been told by some of the viewers that some of their kids say it and some people say it. I did design a Hydra Helix shirt, so I may have that in my merch store once I get that all settled. So, you know, stay tuned for that. If you want to rock out a Hydra Helix shirt, please leave that in the comments. That way I can kind of get an idea of like what my inventory is going to look like. And then you can see right over here just a ton of exotic angel starter plants. These are all for $5.98. You can see that this one is another Hydra Helix, although it's not looking too well. This one is on clearance. So a lot of these plants that we're looking at are the Rescue Me, Take Me Home clearance plants. But what I would tell you about clearance plants is clearance plants potentially may harbor plant pests because these plants have been compromised in terms of their health. They're not doing the best. And so sometimes I think that clearance plants are a little bit more of work. So if you're invested in rescuing a plant, just know you'll probably have to repot it. You're going to have to quarantine it. You're going to have to spray it down with like preventative neem oil or some type of insecticidal soap. Now, this is a beautiful alocasia that I want to add to my collection. I actually have it. I actually bought it. It is an alocasia regina. I think that's how you pronounce it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I really love the look of that. It almost looks like a stingray as well. I really like the look of that metallic blue shine on the leaves. It is something that I would definitely recommend getting. It's a beautiful plant. Now with alocasia, you just have to make sure you give it enough humidity, stay on top of the watering, and inspect it for plant pests like spider mites. That Tradescantia is easy to grow. And then what else do we have? We have a Philodendron Brazil, Philodendron Hederaceum Brazil, another classic plant. It's another plant I would recommend growing for anybody that's growing plants as like a beginner. Easy to care for plant, bright indirect light. Water when it's about 50% dry. You can grow it up a totem pole or moss pole. And actually when you grow it up a totem pole or moss pole, it tends to grow a lot larger on its leaves because that's really the natural habitat of those types of plants there. So just keep that in mind. If you want to maximize the beauty of certain plants, you just have to give them the natural settings of what that plant needs, specifically the Epipremnum aureum or pothos plants. And you can see right here, we've got Ficus elastica, we've got some Monstera deliciosa, just tons of plants. And I am going to be going to another location, so stay tuned for that for this part of the video. But look at how beautiful the plants are here. super full, super organized, and they have plants like this. Like, I need to add this Scindapsus trubii Moonlight. This one is for 1984. It is a trending tropicals plant, and I have to commend Costa Farms. I say this in all my videos. Costa Farms, thank you for providing so many exotic plants for the plant lover. You know, without Costa Farms, I would say a lot of these plants would not be easily accessible. It's just really exciting to see that. And then you can see here lots of bird's nest fern. We've got some more Ficus lyrata. We've got a beautiful looking white bird of paradise. I would love to have one of those, but unfortunately I don't have the space for it. That one is for $35.98. That's actually a pretty good price for a white bird of paradise. But like I said, again, plant foldies, it is all about your plant budgeting, your lifestyle. You just have to really add plants that are going to fit your space in your home and just how you live your life. For me, I have a very hectic and busy life, but I do find that plants will give me that therapy, that stress reliever, and then also this community as well. I spend about an hour, making, this voiceover and really just telling you my thoughts. I utilize my plant shopping videos as for you to get to know me more on a personal basis. It's more of like a plant blog. I have been given comments that, you guys will play my videos while you're doing your plant chores or right before work. So if I can provide a relaxing ambiance, I will definitely continue to do it. I really appreciate it. There's just so many, there's not enough times I can say thank you guys for always tuning in to like my live premiere chats and just even my live premieres. The viewership really helps with my plant funding. I've seen some people actually leave super stickers or super thanks, which is basically a monetary way of giving a tip. Thank you guys for that. And if you feel compelled to do so, I am not going to stop you because I need to go raise funds to buy more plants. I am addicted to plant shopping, so we'll see what that looks like. So definitely take a look at this and we'll see what that all looks like right over here. This is another beautiful Vanda orchid. That one has more of like a leopard texture. Look at that. That might be another plant I may consider getting when I come back from the Philippines. I really shouldn't be adding any more plants between now until I fly out to the Philippines next week. But you can see here, we've got another beautiful Epipremnum aureum neon pothos, beautiful plant. This one is for $16.98. I do like the look of this plant as well. And then we're gonna have one more final Hedera helix. Beautiful Hedera helix or English ivy. This is just a common green one. I actually added another English ivy to my surprise. And then you can just see here, I'm going to pan over here and show you all the beautiful bromeliads, orchids, and just how full this Lowe's is. This is off of McDermott Road in Allen, Texas. So if you're curious and you live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, you can definitely check out this big box store. I will say this is one of the better Lowe's to go plant shopping because they keep their plants organized, healthy, and even the employees are super friendly as well. So plant foldies, what do you guys think so far of all of the Phalaenopsis orchids I've shown you? Have you guys grown Phalaenopsis orchids? Now they do thrive better in neglect, and this Lowe's typically has a lot of them. Now the second location I went to is just up the road on McDermott Road in Allen, Texas as well. This is a regular Kroger grocery store. It's not a marketplace, so it's not as big, but again, I've been doing a lot of plant shopping videos as well at grocery stores. Kroger grocery store is another grocery store that I would recommend because, take a look at this. So many different Phalaenopsis orchids. They all are on sale or starting at $19.99. You can see there's different sizes of Phalaenopsis orchids. You've got the smaller varieties like this. You can see how they have so many different colors. I would really like to make like an orchid wall by chance, like maybe finding a spot in my home where all I do is grow orchids, like an orchid wall. So plant foldies, let me know what you think of that project. I might do it. There's one specifically, a wall specifically in my location, in my home that I would do it. But then again, I am holding off from doing any like plant hanging or plant, putting plants on the walls or making shelves because I'm thinking about repainting my walls a color first. I think it'd be easier for the contractors to do that. But anyways, I am just going to show you all of these different types of orchids here. You can see there's just so many different varieties. Let me know what colors of orchids you like, what type of orchids you like. If you're going to ask me my favorite type of orchids, that would definitely be the common Phalaenopsis orchid, which is what we're looking at, but also the Vanda orchids, because they get very large blooms. So plant foldies, I'm just gonna pan over here and show you all of the beautiful orchids that Kroger grocery store carries. See that there's just mounds and mounds of orchids right here. Kroger definitely does not ever have a depletion of orchids. They typically get orchids shipped to them almost on a daily basis, or if they don't get it on a daily basis, they get them quite frequently. You know, with grocery stores specifically, I would say most of their plants are really treated like produce. They want to keep their plants fresh and full, and that's the reason why I am always confident about buying plants at Kroger grocery stores, or just grocery stores in general, because if the plant starts to look a little bit unhealthy, they typically will either reduce the plant, which is also great because they don't really let them get too bad, and then they also just get you a good price. But as I pan away over here, you can see these beautiful cascading Matsui orchids. Now these orchids are sourced out from California. That is another plant nursery that has these beautiful cascading orchids. So they basically just kind of have some type of stake that has them cascade right there. Very elegant looking orchids. I love the white blooms on orchids. Now with orchids in general, if you're wanting to grow orchids, number one thing you do not want to do with orchids is to overwater them. And you can even see right over here, this has got another shipment of orchids. And that's the reason why, if you ever go plant shopping, the best time to go, if you get lucky, is when the workers are literally taking the plants out of the boxes. And that can be said about all of these big box stores that we go to. Like, I have been lucky enough to go to like a Walmart and literally see a full pallet of plants getting unboxed. And so I get like first dibs on what plants to do. You've seen some of my videos where I'm literally, I always say I'm bothering the workers, but honestly, a lot of them are actually excited that they're getting the plants out. So I love that for anybody who gets lucky to find these these plants that are just restocked. But plant foliage, you can see right over here, this is another Hydra Helix. This one is sourced out by Mason Farms, and it is another plant that I love to look at, I love to obsess about, I love to kill as well, because I haven't done so well with growing an English ivy indoors. Now, the two English ivy I have are actually growing outdoors. They're doing fine. Like, I don't know what it is about just English ivy indoors and then English ivy outdoors. There's just a whole different ball game. Now that plant that I just picked up is a Dracaena lemon lime, beautiful plant, easy to care for plant. And then this one right here is for $9.99 in a 4.5 inch planter. This one is a Palea aluminum plant. Love that as well. That is a beautiful plant that I definitely enjoy. It is another plant that is one that I can definitely take care of. And then right over here, we've got, let's see, more plants. We've got some more Phalaenopsis orchids. I love white Phalaenopsis orchids. They're very beautiful. They do remind me of like weddings. And then this is an interesting this one is a Peperomia raindrop camouflage. So it's got that green on green variegation. This one is for $14.99. And I'm actually happy that I refrained from buying it when I first found it, because when I first found it, it was for $14.99. But then like after like a week later, I still found the plant, and it did have a little bit more cosmetic damage, but I ended up getting it for like, I think $4.25. Kroger ended up reducing the price, which made me save some some more money with my plants. So plant foldies, again, it is all about finding the plant at the right time. You can even see right here, this is a Ficus pumila variegated. Really like this as well. This is another plant that you will see as an exotic angels hanging basket by Costa Farms. I like the look of this plant. Now with ficus plants, they do need a lot of bright light. So this is not a plant that you can just put in a dark corner of your home. It really needs a lot of light just because it's a ficus plant. And then right over here is a beautiful Hoya carnosa. I'm not 100% sure if this is a Crimson Queen or Crimson Princess. This one is for $13.99. And I will say with Kroger grocery stores, you can find some amazing Hoyas for a really good price. Like I was able to find a Hoya variegated Hoya carrii for $7.99 a little while back, and that was such a good deal. So you can find some really interesting Hoyas. So again, plant foldies, when it comes to plant shopping, you really want to look at areas of that you may not expect. Like you don't expect to go plant shopping at a grocery store. Most people will just buy plants at a grocery store. If you're like me, where I already know you can get some good plant pricing. So that's one thing I discovered, because for the most part, when I think of Kroger groceries, I think about getting my groceries, not plants. But again, you will find plants like this right over here. Like this is so amazing. Look at these philodendrons quamiferums. Now these ones are not on sale quite yet. Now these I believe are for like $19.99 or something of that nature. These are beautiful philodendron. I love the fuzzy petioles, and there's just a surplus of philodendrons quamiferum. I recently got a large philodendrons quamiferum. Thank you to Green Acres Nursery in Melissa, Texas. I did a couple of plant shopping videos, and they gave me a kind gift for a gift card, which I used to buy a philodendrons quamiferum on a totem pole, and it just gets really large. So with this particular philodendron, it does want to climb up a pole. If you plant like 3 or 4 on a moss pole, you'll get a nice full plant. This is an easy to care for plant. All you need to do, just like most philodendron, is bright indirect light, water when the plant is about 50% dry. I would say that it does like a little bit more water, and for the most part, this is an easy plant to propagate as well. You do need to cut under a node. You can water propagate it or use sphagnum moss. I typically just like to water propagate the plant, so we'll see what that all looks like right there. So definitely check that out, and then you can see so many philodendrons quamiferums available. I am going to hold off from buying a philodendrons quamiferum. I mean, I already have like 2, but I may end up getting another one depending on whether they clearance those out, because I don't think a lot of people are going to end up buying it for $19.99. And then you can see here, super healthy anthuriums. These I believe are for $14.99 or $13.99. I may end up just buying one of these just because it's so healthy looking. I love just that red one, and I might end up just getting the pink one as well. These particular ones are super healthy looking. That's the thing about Kroger grocery stores. I have to recommend them because they have such fresh and healthy looking plants. So plant foldies, let me know in the comments what you think so far about these anthuriums. I'm currently growing my anthuriums in water, but I may end up just growing them in straight soil or keeping them in their substrate, because I find that they are easy to take care of as well. They're not as fussy of a plant. But you can see here, so many beautiful plants at Kroger groceries. I would recommend it. And you can see, look at that beautiful pink over there. I just love that pink plant, pink flowers. They always make me excited. They make me happy. I love pink planters. I like pink. I guess I would say that pink is one of my favorite colors, especially on plants. So plant foldies, let me know what you think in the comments. But as you can see here, this is a nice place to go plant shopping. Night plant shopping is great. You'll save some money because there's not a lot of people that you can fight for these plants. And then you can also take your time and really spend the time to admire the plants, look at the plant pricing, and just see what you want. So what do you guys think, plant foldies? I'm just going to go pan over here just one last time to show you what other plants that they have available. I mean, you can just see they've got a sea of orchids, Phalaenopsis orchids. And I will say that, Kroger groceries, they typically do well with the amount of space that they have for plants. They have so many plants, but in such a small, tight space. But these are plants that have really good interest. Like right over here, you can see there's a Hydra helix, that English ivy. It's looking super healthy and full. Now, if you bring it indoors, I don't know so much because I have killed about 13 English ivy. So it is embarrassing, but it is a plant that I will eventually learn how to take care of. Plant foldies, if you like tonight's installment of the video, please hit the like button. Please hit the like button if you made it this far. I really appreciate it. And as always, please make sure you subscribe to my channel with the notification bell on. This is Richie at Growfolds. I will see you on the next one tomorrow. Bye. Good day, my plant foldies. This is Richie at Growfolds, and today we will be big box store plant shopping at the Home Depot in North McKinney, Texas. As always, please make sure you are hitting that like button as well as following me on Instagram at Growfolds. So today I am actually visiting this Home Depot. I just got off of work and it has been an extremely busy day. But I wanted to go end my day with a little bit of plant therapy. I wanted to go ahead and check out this Home Depot right here and see what that all entailed. So this is going to be a relaxing night shopping video for all of our plant foldies. For those that are new to this channel, I call my viewers and subscribers plant foldies. And welcome to the channel. But as always, if you like that 1 hour plant shopping video on a daily basis, please make sure you are subscribing to this channel with the notification bell on. It looks like the sun is about to set, but I did want to take a little bit of time to look at some of these outdoor plants. I will get into the indoor tropical plants once I get inside this Home Depot. Now, I haven't visited this Home Depot in quite a bit, and I do like doing these big box plant shopping videos, and I particularly like to go show Home Depot because Home Depot does have some interesting plant finds. There are hundreds of plants that you can choose and pick from, and I did want to also show you guys some of the products I use for some of my plant shopping plant care tips. So let's go ahead and just check out some of these heat tolerant plants right here. It looks like we've got some containers of zinnia plants. Now, I love zinnia plants. These are beautiful flowers that are easily grown from seed. I have grown these quite often year after year. I actually have some seeds that I just threw in my backyard and they ended up sprouting. These ones are only for $29.98. I love the look of zinnia flowers. It is an easy to care for flower. Now, the only thing about zinnias is that they need to be out in full sun. They are susceptible to powdery mildew if you water the foliage. Like, just make sure that you're not watering the leaves too often. They prefer to be out in full sun, so you want to keep them more so on the drier side. But as you can see right here, this Home Depot has quite a bit of plants outside of the outdoor section. They've already got the gate closed to go into the outdoor section, so I'm going to have to go through the actual main store. I am going to walk over here, and this is also for $29.98, a full container of lantana. So I have been obsessing about lantanas just because lantanas are very heat tolerant plants. They are spreading, they are mounding, and they make great ground cover for areas that really have hot climates like North Dallas, which is where I'm based at. We get 100+ degree weather in the summertime. It is already in the mid 90s, but it also feels like 100 degrees. But these are plants that are really tolerant to very hot weather. They are drought tolerant as well. They are vigorous growers, and they come in many beautiful colors. I like that pink color as well as this red color. These almost remind me of like marigolds. And I like that they have that look as well. But you can see right here, you've got some oranges, you've got some reds. It's a really nice look for these plants. I'm definitely a fan of lantana. They're also inexpensive as well, and they grow very fast. So, you talk about plants that I'm interested in. I love plants that are also fast growing because I think as plant collectors or plant lovers, we always want to have updates on new growth, how big a plant gets. And whenever you have a plant that's a little bit more vigorous and growing and just a fast growing plant, it's a little bit more satisfying, at least in my opinion. Now we're going to walk over here and just take a look at some more of these plants. I didn't even realize on the side of the Home Depot, we have even more plants here. You can see we've got a bunch of hanging baskets of vinca flowers. Vinca flowers are also heat tolerant flowers, so they would make perfect additions to a hot climate like Texas. Now my grow zone is 8B, which means I have to really look at plants that can grow from my climate. You know, whenever you're growing outdoor plants, which can also be grown indoors, there are certain ones that I would recommend and I have been experimenting with. You really want to get to know your grow zone, what plants are considered perennials, what can become annuals. And for those that don't know what perennials are, again, perennials are plants that you can plant into your landscape, and depending on your grow zone, will grow through a growing cycle. So they will grow through spring, summer, fall, and then die off in the winter. But if they are a perennial, they will come back again in spring or early summer. So perennials I would consider as permanent plants once they're grown into the landscape, depending on your grow zone. So always check your grow zone. And then annuals are plants that will grow for just one season and then die off when winter comes. But you can see here, they've got a bunch of rose trees, which I think are really cool. And then we've got a beautiful Fatsa japonica right here. Japanese Aurelia, I love those as well. I am gonna go get a large one from a local plant nursery called Green Acres, which surprisingly is literally just up the road north from this Home Depot. It is in Melissa, Texas. If you haven't already, check out the Green Acres video. I've featured about 2 of them for the Melissa location, and I would love for you guys to check that out. I have been doing a lot of plant shopping videos. I've been trying to do a mixture of big box store videos as well as local plant shopping videos, just because I wanted to give you guys a little bit more of a different variety. And if you notice, I have been more so blogging about my personal life in between my plant shopping video shots, just to give you updates about me personally. For those that don't know me, my name is Richie, and one of my biggest hobbies is to grow plants. I am faceless at the moment, but for those that have run into me in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, I really have appreciated meeting some of our local plant foldies. Now, these are for $19.98. You've got some beautiful agave here. So we've got some sorted agave. We've got some cactus right over here, and you can see that cactus come in so many different shapes and forms and colors. You can see over here we've got another beautiful agave. This one is for $29.98 by Smart Plants. This one has some nice variegation right over here. With agave and all of these cactus plants, they are going to need a lot of light. Now, since they are cactus succulent type plants, not all of them will do well in just full sun. So you're going to have to do your research on that. I kind of learned that the hard way when I grew an Aeonium kiwi in full sun, and it just ended up frying. So I was surprised because I just assumed that most cactus and succulents are desert type plants and would really just benefit from just growing in full sun, but that is not the case. But you can see all of these cactus right there are 50% off. Love a good plant savings. You know, whenever you're going plant shopping, it's always nice to find plants on sale. And in all of these assorted cactus and succulent type landscape plants are all for $29.98. Look at the variegation on this agave right here. I find agave interesting in the fact that they look like succulents like Echeveria, but they are more like a cactus as well because the tips of their leaves are very pointy. There is that sharp needle right there. And then you can see we've got some more succulents and cactus here. I did end up getting 2 more succulents to add to my collection. They were 2 different varieties of Aeonium. So if you haven't already, definitely check out Aeoniums. They are my favorite succulent. I think it's because I saw the full potential of those plants whenever I took a trip out to Carmel by the Sea, California. They just had them growing in the landscapes. And I believe most succulents do well in landscapes in California. I suppose it's because they have temperate weather, like their weather is very consistent. There's nothing extreme about it. They don't get extreme cold. They don't get extreme heat, or at least that's what I saw when I was on the coast. So I think that's a really interesting factor when it comes to, climate conditions. And then over here, we've got a papaya tree. So my family is from the Philippines, and I'm really excited that I'll be going to the Philippines later this month, so I will be on vacation for a good 18 days. But one thing I will say is in the Philippines, there are papaya trees just everywhere. They just kind of grow randomly as well. So I will try to get mature specimens of that. Now, for those that are going to be concerned about whether I'll be able to get some new content out there, I've already scheduled some plant compilation marathons of some of my previous work, but they are about a good 2 to 3 hour long compilation video of plant shopping videos. Some of them you may not have seen, especially for our new subscribers. So I really hope that you guys will tune in specifically just to chat. You know, I make plant shopping videos, a longer ones, at least an hour, so we can all meet up and be part of the live premiere chats. I can't thank all of our local plant foldies enough for always tuning into the live premieres. It's really interesting, the type of chat we have. It's a very positive community. So if you are watching this video live for the first time during the live premiere chat, please make sure you are saying hello. Now we are going to be walking into the garden section. So they've actually taken a lot of their indoor plants and taking them outdoors. Typically when I go to this Home Depot, they have a bunch of like their proven winter plants out here, actually indoors, but now they've got them outdoors. So I'm just going to pan over here and show you what plants they have available. And you can see that whenever you go big box store plant shopping at night, that there's not a lot of people out and about. So it's easy for me to just walk around and show you guys the different types of plants and even the plant supplies that I use. So I just wanted to show you a couple of things that I use for my plants. One of my supplements that I use for my plants is Super Thrive. I really think that Super Thrive is an amazing vitamin, plant vitamin for your plants. So if you have some plants that are not doing as well, using Super Thrive, watering them with that actually helps perk them up. They're also good for whenever you're doing repotting or plant propagations. That's a really good supplement you can do. And then Osmocote Plus, that is a good slow release fertilizer that you can mix in your soil as well as the top of your soil. It is another all-purpose type fertilizer, and I know some people may disagree with me, but I honestly just use all-purpose plant food Miracle Grow. It's the 20-20-20 variety, so it has just an even fertilizer for a plant. I think that all-purpose fertilizer really does give me some really good growth. Now there's some more specialized fertilizers, but Miracle Grow does that well for me. And for me, I actually end up buying Miracle Grow fertilizer from Costco because you can get a huge deal and a really good price at the same time as well. Now we're gonna go look at some of these hanging baskets by Vigoro. What I love about Vigoro hanging baskets is these are for $19.98. You will always go to a big box store like Home Depot and see this type of hanging basket fixture. As you can see here, we've got some spider plants. Really like the look of spider plants, and then we can see that there are other hanging plants like the Epipremnum Aureum Jade Pothos. I love the look of the Epipremnum Aureum Jade Pothos as well. One of the easiest plants to take care of, and notice how it is already trailing over there, and we can see that it is gorgeous. And the thing I like about Jade Pothos as well is it is just such a fast growing plant. It can tolerate lower light conditions. You can grow it up as a hanging basket like this, or you can let it grow up a totem pole. Now, if you grow it up a totem pole, it'll actually get larger leaves. And that's one thing that most people may not see, that the Jade Pothos or Pothos plants actually in the wild get really large leaves because their natural habitat is for them to attach their aerial roots on like a tree. They can get up to like 60 feet tall. It is really amazing once you see them in the wild. Now here's another philodendron I love. This is a philodendron heteroecium Brazil. It is a common heart-shaped leaf philodendron, and it is one that actually has its variegation, or the coloration is influenced by the amount of light you give it. So if you give it more light, it'll have more bright yellow stripes on it. And in speaking of bright yellow colors, this one is an Epipremnum aureum neon queen pothos. This one is also for $19.98. It looks like it's got a little bit of bird feces right over here. It looks like somebody just kind of took a little dump on the leaves, but at the same time you can still see that this is a beautiful hanging basket of pothos. I show this often in pretty much every single one of my videos, but it is one of my favorite pothos plants. So like plant foldies, let me know what you think about these hanging baskets that you see at Home Depot. Do you feel like it's a good price for it? I would love to hear from the comments. Same thing with this Monstera adansonii. Now with Monstera adansonii, I think that they're actually better grown up a totem pole or a moss pole versus growing them up as like a hanging basket, because when you let a Monstera adansonii trail, the leaves get smaller and smaller, so you don't really get that nice beautiful fenestration, all of those splits in the leaves. I do think that it is an interesting plant to grow, especially when you let it grow to its maturity on a totem pole. Now here is a Pilea peperomoides, or a Chinese money plant, or a UFO plant. Now this is one of those plants that used to be very expensive. It was the it plant, and it's because it has such a unique looking foliage on it, the shape of the leaves. And what's interesting is, if you notice, for this hanging basket, it's for $19.98. You can see there are several little baby pups coming out of it. So it is another plant that like self-propagates. So it's easy to multiply this plant. I am looking for a variegated version of the Pilea peperomoides. I don't have the green version. I would love to get one, because there's actually a Instagram account that's in, I think, Slovakia, that has one of the biggest Pilea peperomoides I've ever seen. If you ever follow my Instagram account, which is @growfolds, you'll see me sharing those on my stories. So plant foldies, if you do want to see some more daily content aside from my YouTube plant shopping videos, please follow me on Instagram. You're able to message me directly. I respond to pretty much every single message. And for those that are looking to be sponsored, I am open for sponsorships. I recently got one sponsor to actually let me look at some grow lights. So feel free to send me those messages as well. I am open for some plant care. But as you can see, Instagram is another method that I use to just connect with people. So I hope you guys can take a look at that. Over here, we've got a Hoya carnosa. This is another beautiful Hoya. It's just mostly green, although I did see some spots of variegation. This one is for $19.98. And what I've noticed is with specific Hoyas, the Hoya carnosa is a common one that you will see at a big box store like Home Depot. Notice this one right here. It's a pretty healthy looking one. I would say this may be a Hoya carnosa crimson princess. What a beautiful looking one. It looks like there's some like bird feathers right over here. And speaking of bird feathers, so for those that didn't get to watch my YouTube shorts video of a dove's nest that actually raised 2 baby doves and how they flew away after they were done raising their family, please check that out. And guess what? Today, which is Friday, I discovered in one of the other hanging baskets of pothos that I have another baby dove nest created. So that mother, I'm assuming, is the same family of doves, have just created a new litter. We noticed that there was 1 egg laid, so probably the next day there'll be another egg. So I actually was kind of sad that I didn't get to see the dove family that I got to see for at least about a month every single day on my outdoor patio. But it looks like they're back, and I'm super excited to be able to see them. It is exciting to see that they are creating another family. And I am talking more so about just some of my personal stuff going on right now versus the plants. I will digress and go back to the plants, but please feel free to let me know if you want to see some content about that dove family. It looks like I'll be able to document that journey of theirs. And you can see over here, we've got some alocasia. I don't know what this alocasia is. I'm assuming this might be Alocasia Regal Shield, but notice how it has already some of these little babies popping out. I love the undersides of an Alocasia Regal Shields. That purple color is really nice, and then that thick yellow veining is absolutely stunning. And then I also think that all of the ornamental grasses that we have here is really interesting. Now, this isn't an ornamental grass. This is an actual cordyline tea plant. This one is only for $7.98. What a beautiful looking one. This almost looks like a Dracaena marginata. Now, with the cordyline tea plant, it is a plant that I love. It is a plant that I wish I could grow indoors, but you know, I talk about this in pretty much all of my plant shopping videos. There are some plants that you can take indoors and they will grow just fine, but then there are certain plants like the Hydra Helix. And for those that are new to my channel, I actually mispronounced the word Hedera helix, which is for English ivy. But no matter what you do in indoor spaces, for instance, those particular plants like an English ivy or a cordyline tea plant, when brought indoors, they're a little bit more challenging to grow. They're a little bit more finicky. They're definitely more spider mite prone. So there are just certain plants for some reason just are a little bit more spider mite prone, which makes them a little bit more challenging to grow indoors. Now, if you take them outdoors, they do better. And it's the same thing with alocasia. So a lot of people will say alocasias are a little bit challenging as well. I have found the secret to growing alocasia. And if you really want to know, please leave that in the comments, what you think it might be. But what I will say is I'll just go ahead and give you the answer. But for me, whenever there's an alocasia that's struggling, all I have to do is literally take that alocasia outside, put it out in an outdoor patio, and with some shade, and just water it just like normal with like a hose, and then eventually it just starts to thrive. So it's the same thing with alocasias. You know, they are a little bit more spider mite prone, but I feel like most plants, if you ever want them to grow larger or even recover or rehab, take them outside when it's springtime or when the weather is a little bit warmer, and you will see the huge improvement for that. And you can see this Home Depot actually has a lot of large foliage plants. Like, we're going to look at these Monstera deliciosas. This is for $29.98. I love the fact that my Monstera deliciosas are doing extremely well. I'm super happy that the propagation Monstera that I had, that I pretty much neglected and left in my garage under a grow light, I finally repotted it. It's out in my living room and it's doing very well. It's actually pushing out a lot of new growth. So I'm really happy about that. You know, with Monstera deliciosa like this one is a really nice full one. So there are several Monstera deliciosas. Know that Monstera deliciosas actually get very large, so make sure that you are planning for a larger space. And also know that a Monstera deliciosa will need some type of pole for that to really reach its pure maturity. Now, I did want to show you this right here. So here is another cordyline plant, but I've never really seen a green variety. Typically, plant foliage, you will see that red variety, which is the red maroon variety, but here is just a green one. I really like that a lot. But I did notice, though, this one is only for $19.98 as well. I did notice that there were some mealy bugs on the new growth. So that's definitely not a plant I'm going to pick up and buy. And then here is another cordyline tea plant. That one is the kiwi. And this one is another beautiful plant. Notice how it does get leggy, but you know, that is the natural way of the cordyline tea plant. As it gets more mature, it becomes more woody at the base. But you can see here is the common one that you'll see, the one that's got burgundy maroon color, and sometimes you'll also get that highlight pink color. So there are 3 varieties of cordyline tea plants at this Home Depot. Again, these are also for $19.98 in a 10-inch planter. I do love these as well. I would totally get the green variety just because I don't typically see the green variety, and I have an appreciation for green foliage plants, but that unfortunately had some mealy bugs. Now, plant foliage, let me know if you've ever had a mealy bug infestation. That was one reason why I gave up on plants. I really had a bad mealy bug infestation a couple years back where I literally had hundreds of plants, but it was so difficult to like take care of them and get rid of the pests. So I have been diligent about trying to keep up with my pest control. One way I make sure that I don't have as many pests is by spraying my plants on a weekly basis using my Foldy Mist DIY neem oil spray. For those that want to know the recipe, you basically just need to take take a water bottle, like not a water bottle, a spray bottle, a typical spray bottle you would buy at a store. Take 2 tablespoons of cold pressed neem oil, 2 tablespoons of rubbing alcohol, 2 tablespoons of hydrogen peroxide, a drop of dish soap, and fill it up with water. Shake, 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 and you can spray it on your plant, and it does wonders. It's done very well for me. You can see that over here we do have this beautiful bromeliad and plant foldies. I've shown you guys a lot of bromeliads in some of my past shopping videos. What do you guys think about bromeliads, and what do you also think about crotons? So crotons, I love crotons. The thing about crotons, they're very similar to ficus plants. They need a lot of bright light. They are a little bit finicky when things are not consistent. And what I mean about consistency is consistent humidity levels, consistent watering, scheduling, just consistent everything. They do thrive way more so if you take them outside versus growing them indoors. Like I have had so much success so far with one of my croton plants that's just outside in full sun, southern facing light, and it's getting the most intense light, but it's still doing very well. You can see over here, we've got an Alocasia california. Another beautiful Alocasia. It is one that's common that you would see at any big box store like Home Depot, especially Home Depot. And I did want to show you terracotta planters. So a lot of people have asked me like what kind of planters I like. This is the specific planter I like to plant my plants. Notice how it's a very simple matte terracotta planter. I don't really like a lot of textures. I like that there is nothing but a beautiful, elegant shape. I like the minimalistic look of certain planters, and I love the look of terracotta planters. For me, terracotta planters may not be the best planter because I am what you consider an underwaterer. And for those that don't know what that term underwaterer means, it means that I don't water my plants nearly as much as I should. There is another term where you're an overwaterer, where you're basically watering your plant too much. I don't have that problem at all. I will actually not water certain plants for an entire month, and then I'm always like sad that they've kind of declined in their health. It's because they didn't get watered, and that's really one of the embarrassing things that I want to be vulnerable about, is the fact that my watering regimen or my plant care regimen in that aspect is lacking, and so I can't really blame myself if I have some plants that are not doing as well. So I've done better. I am really just taking the time, and I'm also being cognizant about like how many plants I'm adding into my collection. So even if I find a plant during this plant shopping video that I want to buy, it would have to be something either uber rare or something that would really have to entice me, because I am trying to not buy as many plants until I can get a better schedule, a better routine, and just time to enjoy my plants. And as you can see here, plant foldies, I just love looking at plants late at night. They definitely have a more peaceful vibe when it comes to big box or plant shopping. I don't have to like worry about dodging people, trying to get them in trying to not get them in the film. So this is just a typical Home Depot, but it's one that has a lot of beautiful plants. Like look at this right here. Here's a beautiful Alocasia Regal Shields. Again, these are for $19.98. Look at how it looks so beautiful. Now with Alocasia Regal Shields, I've grown them indoors before. They just happened to get spider mites. So that was before I actually had that regimen of like spraying my plants with neem oil. I really do think that neem oil repels pests. So it's always a good option to, spray your plants with that. Now here is another interesting plant that some people are really into. I haven't really gotten into it just because I feel like it's just a common green plant, but this is what you call the cast iron plant. Let me know in the comments if you grow cast iron plants, what the interest is in a cast iron plant. I realize that some people say this plant is actually more of an uncommon plant. But for me, it's not something that I'm running to try and get. And then you can see we've got a bunch of proven winner plants here. So this one is another Alocasia, which I have. Mine is still doing okay. I really need to repot it. And then we've got a beautiful Philodendron Rojo Congo. This one is for $29.98 by Proven Winners. Now, Rojo Congo Philodendron is a beautiful philodendron. It is a philodendron that gets very large. I've seen some really large sizes of them. Some people will say that it is another common philodendron. But for me, common plants are common because they're either easy to care for or they're just popular and there's a big demand for it. Therefore, people have propagated and multiplied the plant. You know, I've been going to like different types of like restaurants and stores, and I've noticed that a lot of plants that are common are seen at these interiors, and I find them beautiful. I remember going to a place out in Plano, I think it's in Plano, called 60 Vines, where they had a bunch of cool looking philodendrons and just common plants. And a lot of these common plants are seen at big box stores, and that's why I plant folies. If you enjoy just watching all of these beautiful plants in front of your screen and to listen to me talk for an hour about my thoughts about plants, plant pricing, plant care, anything that might be related to plants or even my personal life, I hope that you've already taken the time to hit the subscribe button, but not only hit the subscribe button, but also hit the notification bell. That way you're always in tune with when I do live premieres. I typically try to do live premieres within 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. I am going to the Philippines for those that don't, who have just seen this video today, and I already have a couple of plant marathons, plant compilations scheduled to go, so that way we can have our live premiere chats as well. You can see I pulled a lot of these plants. Like this one is another beautiful calathea. It's got a little bit of a fuzzy leaf about it, and you can see that all of these calatheas, this one's actually a Thenanthe. Well, actually, yeah, this is a Thenanthe plant, not a calathea plant. I do like the look of it. Here it is. It's a Thenanthe setosa for 1998. Now, all of the calathea plants, Marantha plants, Thenanthes, Stromanthes, all of those plants are very similar in their plant care. I have found the most successful way to be able to grow them is literally to grow them in hydroponic, meaning you want to grow them in just a bowl of water with some plant food. That way you don't have to worry about whether you're keeping up with the watering. For me, it has helped a ton. For me, I've been able to grow these plants, and these calatheas are still giving me that beautiful foliage that, you know, most people are enticed to look at. You know, the thing about calatheas is they're very tempting. They're a very beautiful looking plant. You go to a store, you want to buy it because they've got some beautiful foliage. Give it about 2 weeks and then they're brown and crispy, at least in my experience. Maybe you guys are a little bit more caring. Maybe you're more of like a helicopter plant parent. But for me, I need plants that are going to be able to fit my lifestyle. And that is, you know, a very busy lifestyle, low maintenance plants that are a little bit more forgiving when you neglect them. And so that's the reason why I like to show you these different types of plants. Like this one right here, Philodendron Red Sun. Beautiful philodendron. It's another plant that is easy to care for. You do need to give it better lighting. Like bright indirect light is really the sweet spot for a lot of you know, philodendrons are just plants in general, but that one is another plant that can take a little bit less watering. So if you're not as good at watering plants on a consistent basis, that Philodendron Sun Red is a plant that I would recommend because it's a little bit more forgiving. Now I'm looking at these hydroponic. So this is what I mean about hydroponic. Hydroponic is where they have just the bare roots and water. So there's not like a soil substrate. This one is by Proven Winners, and they call these the H2O bowls. The sad part is I don't think a lot of people are really buying these hydroponic plants. I like them. I do think that they're a little bit pricey. I believe these are for like $19.98. And basically they're just like water propagations. That one was an Epipremnum aureum golden pothos. This one is a Syngonium. I would even say this is a Syngonium confetti, but you notice that this one is called Syngonium Snow White. Proven Winners has this thing about naming their plants or their hybrids, and they're entitled to do so. But this one is just a common Syngonium. It's a beautiful one. They need to put some water though, because they're about to run out of these, you know, water out of those hydroponic situations that we got here. But as I pan away, look at all of these plants. I love looking at them. Plant foliage, you know, I get excited showing you all of these plants that we probably see every single day. This one is by Vigoro. This is another Monstera Adansonii for $14.98. That's in a 6-inch planter. And so there are many varieties of 6-inch planters by Vigoro. Vigoro Plants is another, you know, plant nursery that really sources a lot of its plants out to Home Depot. I'm not 100% sure if that is like a Home Depot brand for plants, but you'll see Vigoro is all over Home Depot. This one is for $14.98. Epipremnum aureum neon pothos, another plant that I feel like for $14.98, that is not bad at all. I believe that whenever you buy a plant like a neon pothos, you end up saving some money because it is fairly priced for the most part and easy to propagate. This one is a Hoya carnosa. This one is also for $14.98. This is probably one of the more common Hoyas. And for my Hoya lovers, you already know if I find a Hoya, I will feature it. And I'm just going to dig through here. This one is a better looking Hoya carnosa. Notice how there is a little bit more variegation here. I love that pink. I just love that cream variegation. I want to get more so into Hoya. So here's the thing. I will be going to PlantCon 2024 in Dallas, which is going to be on August 31st, September 1st. I have the early bird special where basically I can go in and do my plant shopping for an hour. Honestly, I want to do a lot of plant shopping video footage for there so that way I don't have to dodge a lot of people. But one of my plant goals is to buy a couple of Hoyas. I saw a bunch of uncommon Hoyas at the PlantCon in Houston. And Plant Foldies, if you haven't seen the PlantCon Houston video, please check it out. It is on the main page of my YouTube channel. You'll get an idea of what plants you'll see. I intend to really get detailed plant videos, hours and hours. I'm going both days in order for me to really showcase some of these rare and uncommon plants. Now, this one right here is not really a rare and uncommon plant anymore. This is an Alocasia poly. I will say this one is notorious for being more spider mite prone Alocasia. Now, this one is an easy to care for plant. This one is for $8.98. This is just a regular ZZ plant. I love ZZ plants because they are forgiving. They are able to tolerate lower light conditions. They are able to thrive in neglect, meaning if you don't really water them for quite a while, they'll be just fine. Actually, the way to kill them is if you actually overwater a ZZ plant. Now, here's another plant in like a terracotta planter. This one is for $10.98. Now, this is another croton. This is a croton batik. And look at that. Doesn't that look like it is literally on fire? It's just amazing to see croton plants. And there was actually one croton plant that I seen. It was basically almost a tree form. I would say it was about a good 10 feet tall. It was at Archie's Greenland, which is a local Fort Worth nursery that had it. It was actually in bloom too. It was absolutely stunning. And then you can see right here, we've got a beautiful Chiflera plant or umbrella tree plant. This is another beautiful plant that I like. This one is for $10.98. It is another beautiful plant that I am all about. You can see how gorgeous it is. And even it just being a green variety, just how delicate the leaves look like. And it's just a beautiful plant. It is an easy to care for plant. I would recommend a Chiflera plant for any beginners. For sure, that is another common plant. And then this is everybody's favorite. This is are you guys ready? Hydra Helix. This is the Hedera Helix or English Ivy. For my plant foldies, you already know that's what number 1 or 2 in this video. I don't know why you guys keep track of how many times I say Hydra Helix. But for those that are new to the channel, some of you guys might like how I say it. Some of you may not. I've been told that it was very cringy. I've been told that they have to mute it. I'm so sorry, but I have pulled back a little bit, but for my original plant foldies and for the ones that really appreciate my most authentic self, I've got to say Hedera Helix. Actually, no, I got to say Hydra Helix. Okay, I'm going to stop for real. Here we have a peperomia plant right here. This is a peperomia frost. It's another beautiful peperomia. This one is for $10.98. Now, here's the thing I would say about peperomia plants. Peperomia plants are easy to care for plants. They come in many different varieties. There's certain ones that are a little bit easier than others. I prefer the larger leaf peperomias, like the peperomia teardrop or watermelon peperomia. I ended up getting a variegated watermelon peperomia from PETA's Planters and Plant Foldies. You've got to watch the PETA Planters local plant nursery videos. I've done 2 of them already. It is a local small business plant shop in Dallas, Texas. They have some amazing plants, so please make sure we are supporting Lupita and her partner on their small business. They've got some amazing plants. And you can see over here, we've got a beautiful calathea as well. It almost looks like a calathea orbifolia, but that's not quite the calathea orbifolia. The name of that particular calathea kind of escapes my mind for a second. And then we have a not so great looking red marantha here. I do like prayer plants. They do say that prayer plants are a little bit less finicky than, say, a calathea. I ended up getting a really nice variegated prayer plant from a planting with Pete, and I'm glad that he finally got the variegated orchid that I sent him. And then I'm really happy that the plant winner for the Monstera Thai constellation, she was, I think her name is Yahaira. She was able to finally get her Monstera Thai constellation in the mail. She showed me some pictures. I'm glad it made it. Now, USPS didn't have the best way to deliver it, so I do apologize for any future plant plants that I send out. I'm not the best at packing plants. I'm just glad that the plants finally made it to their respective owners. I do currently have a free plant giveaway on my Instagram for a variegated Philodendron domesticanum. So that's one of those rare and uncommon philodendrons. It actually has really good variegation, just the same way as this Epipremnum aureum golden pothos has some good variegation. But in order to actually try to win that particular plant, you have to have an Instagram account. You have to follow me on Instagram. My Instagram name is @growfolds. You have to find the reel that has the plant, the free plant giveaway, like it, and then tag a minimum of 4 people to the post. That's one entry. But if you tag multiple people after the 4th one, that's multiple entries. For each tag is an additional entry for the random drawing. So for those that want to try and win that plant, definitely check that out. And then you can see here, these are the $7.98 plants. I like this a lot, and I actually am so tempted. When I say I'm so tempted, I'm really tempted to buy this Epipremnum aureum Enjoy pothos. I love the white variegation. It is another pothos that is a little bit slower growing, but it is another plant that I absolutely love. It's an easy to care for plant. I did recognize that this plant is a little bit more thirsty. You don't really want to not water it. It's not as forgiving as, say, a golden pothos, but it is another plant that it's really easy to take care of. What do you guys think? Should I go ahead and buy that Epipremnum aureum Enjoy pothos or leave it be? Here's another easy to care for plant for $7.98. This one is a bird's nest sansevieria, and you can see there are multiple bird's nest sansevieria. There's at least 3 in this little 4-inch planter. Again, these are for $7.98. You can see this is another bird's nest sansevieria. I've had these in the past, and what I do like about snake plants or sansevieria is that they do produce what they call pups or little babies that you can separate from them. So it is another plant that self-propagates. It's another plant that you can save money because you can multiply it easily. And you can see as I pan away here, there's just so many other plants available. And while these plants are more common to easy care plants, it is another place where if you just want to start your plant collection, I would recommend going to Home Depot. I mean, you can see here, this is another sansevieria trifasciata. This one I believe is for $10.98. With these sansevieria or snake plants, these plants are the plants that can tolerate lower light conditions. The thing about it is you don't want to overwater any of these snake plants. They will get root rot. They prefer to be more so on the drier side. I mean, for the most part, they're very similar to succulents, except that they can tolerate lower light conditions. You can see right over here, we've got another cordyline plant, that green cordyline plant for $19.98. But if you want to know what mealybugs look like, I'm just going to go ahead and show you. Do you see that fuzzy stuff right there? Yeah, that is a bunch of mealybugs, and you definitely don't want to buy that plant for sure. And I really wouldn't buy any of the plants that are in close proximity because those spread very easily. I mean, you got to think it's outside, so the wind could blow some of them onto these plants, which is unfortunate. So I go to this next topic about just how while big box stores are more cost effective to buy plants, there is a bigger risk of getting plant pests to hitchhike into your actual plant collection, because I mean, they are just exposed to different types of elements. They're exposed to different types of people. And I would even say the workers that work at big box stores may not necessarily prioritize all of these beautiful plants because, you know, they've got a lot of other tasks. This is not basically a nursery that specializes in plant care. So that's just one caution I would have about big box store plants. When you buy a big box store plant, or even any type of plant that you buy, even at a local plant nursery, I would say even taking this Dracaena, for instance, spraying the leaves down with like a neem oil spray, insecticidal soap, or some type of pest preventative, spraying the tops of the leaves, the bottom of the leaves, the stems, the top of the soil, and even the bottom of the pot with the drainage holes, just to get rid of as many potential pests that might be hitchhiking, and then just quarantining the plant. But you can see here, I actually want to buy one of these Dracaenas. I mean, look at how beautiful that variegation is. And again, with that Dracaena, it is another easy to care for plant. This is a plant that can grow in lower light conditions. And again, whenever you have a plant that can grow in lower light conditions, that becomes a little bit easier to grow in terms of just an indoor plant, because most of our indoor spaces may not necessarily have the correct lighting conditions. So a Dracaena like this for $14.98 would be an easy to care for plant. I would highly recommend it. I would even recommend this particular Dracaena as a first starter plant. I think that it would do very well for anybody that's just starting to get into house plants. And you can see here, this is another cast iron plant. I do like the green leaf, just the green tone of the cast iron plant. You can see this one has a larger leaf right over here. They almost remind me of like iris leaves. And then you can see over here, we've got a bunch of palms. We've got a large Dracaena marginata. But you can see there's just many nice looking plants that you can pick from. We've got a ZZ plant right over here, some Ficus elastica burgundy. What a beautiful dark foliage plants. And you already know plant folies. I love my dark foliage plants. I talk about that in a lot of my videos and try to feature them. And then I have a bunch of other plants here. Now, for those that love succulents and cactus, this section is for you. I'll go to the other plants in just a sec, but notice how this Home Depot has their cactus really organized. And look at this. This is interesting right here. Oops, something fell. I'm going to definitely put that back into the pot in just a second. I'm not sure if the actual needles are a little bit prickly, so I'm going to have to be a little bit cautious about that. Let me see if I can actually get this into the pot. Notice how it's already got some roots. We're just going to leave it there for a second. I'm going to try to just figure it out. I'm a little cautious. Oh, another one fell off. I am just like, I promise I'm not trying to like hurt this plant. Okay, it's back in there. I don't know about that small one right there. Some people would even try to propagate that, but you can see, look at all of these cactus. Look at how all of them have different levels of spikiness. This one I actually like right here. It looks a little bit more friendly. It doesn't look as prickly, but we have some that are insanely prickly, and I am a little bit more concerned about even touching that. Look at this one right here. And this one is what you call the golden barrel cactus. This one actually gets very large, but it's very prickly. And you notice that this one right here has more fuzzy texture. It's not really like needles, but it is just such an interesting world when it comes to cactus. I don't know a lot about them, but some people are really into cactus. I would like to add a cactus into my collection, but the thing about it is just like succulents is what I'm trying to say. They just require a lot of bright light. And I feel like if I don't have the right lighting conditions for a plant, I don't really want to bring it into my home. I do have some grow lights. I have a bunch of Sansi grow lights actually that I ended up getting from Amazon, and they've done very well in terms of just supplementary plant supplementary light for the plants is what I'm trying to say. So plant folies, let me know what plant grow lights that you like to use for your plants, what works for you, how do you like them, and which ones you would recommend for anybody that wants to put some grow lights in their plant collection. I have quite a bit of grow lights in my home, especially in dark corners, just so I can give some supplementary light. Typically, even the plants that are in dark corners that are more low light tolerant, I still want to provide them with optimal lighting conditions, because plants will always thrive. They'll have a faster growth rate when they have light available for them. I mean, you can see here, these are what you call Haworthia plants. So these are Haworthia, so they're a type of succulent. And surprisingly, Haworthias are actually a little bit more low light tolerant. They don't necessarily need to have a lot of bright light. I would say that it is a succulent, so by default they probably prefer more light, but they're a little bit more tolerant, which makes them a little bit easier to grow in an indoor space. But as you can see right here, we've just got rows and rows of different types of succulents. If you ask me what my favorite type of succulent it is, I would say my favorite succulent variety would be what you call Aeoniums. I haven't seen any Aeoniums in this particular particular selection here, but you can see they've got even succulent arrangements in planters. Those would make perfect full sun planters. I say full sun, but then again, I've learned my lesson in terms of like what plants you can grow, and not all not all succulents can grow in full sun. Now I grew what they call Aeoniums. That is my favorite type of succulent, and they do extremely well. I love the look of Aeoniums. They have these beautiful shapes to them, and it's another plant that I want to be able to grow, but I feel like my area, Texas, is just extremely hot. That's really the downfall of just living in Texas. I would just say our summers are brutal, and certain plants are just not tolerant of that. I will say jade plant has done well for me. It's a little bit easier for me to manage jade plants, but it is another plant that I think I'm just more familiar with. You know, whenever I look at succulents, I just think of jade plants, because as I was growing up, my grandmother, who is literally the reason why you guys are seeing me do plant shopping videos, she got me into plants at an early age, and she grew jade plants. But for the most part, I don't know a lot about succulents. So for you, or for anybody that's actually watching this video, please let me know in the comments section if you have any succulent care tips. I mean, you can see here, this is a rainbow elephant bush. I like the look of this one as well. This would make such a cool looking bonsai. There are a couple of succulent plants that I would love to convert into bonsai. My variegated jade plant is doing extremely well. I converted it into bonsai. It's actually in bonsai soil, and the difference between bonsai soil versus like potting mix is it's very porous. There's a lot of fast drainage, and that's what you want for your succulent or cactus plants. They have succulent mixes, but truthfully, I would even suggest adding more pumice and perlite to the mix to make it fast draining. Here is a beautiful string of pearls. I actually want to get a variegated version of string of pearls. This one is for $12.98, and my family is from the Philippines, so what I would say is the string of pearls is actually a great addition to any succulent type plant. This is another what you call a Senecio. It's part of the Senecio family. And with string of pearls for $12.98, that is not a bad price at all. I was actually able to find a variegated string of hearts. So super excited for that. It was also for $12.98. And you can see here, we've got a Ficus benjamina. This is a variegated form. I like the look of a variegated Ficus benjamina. I just know better to actually put it into my home, because Ficus benjamina, they will drop their leaves when you introduce them to your home. They just tend to do that. So you actually have to make sure that you are aware of it, because ficus plants like Ficus benjamina, they just tend to have an acclimation period. Ficus plants in general, you really don't want to move them around a lot, but Ficus benjamina, they're considered like an indoor tree form, although I don't think that they're necessarily an indoor tree, because they require a lot of light. But if you're able to grow them in a mature form, they are absolutely stunning. That's the thing about ficus plants. I don't really have a lot of ficus plants. I'm slightly struggling with my ficus lyrata or fiddle fig leaf, and that's the only reason why, because I'm not necessarily staying on top of the consistency in the watering. But you can see here tons and tons and tons of beautiful succulent arrangements. I like the fact that Smart Plants already has mixed containers of succulents. It kind of takes away from the guessing game of whether you have to have certain succulents or cactus. And I do love the cactus arrangements as well. And you can see over here, these are some interesting ones. These are the Altman Reserve ones right here. Look at that. Look at how cool that is. They almost look like starfish almost. And you can see that there is that red color on some of those spikes right there. What an interesting looking plant. Not sure what it is. I'm going to try to figure out what that plant ID is. Let me just keep taking a look at some of these ones. This one right over here is another one. I'm trying to look for a price as well. I think these are $19.98. Not 100% sure, but we'll go ahead and just keep looking. Well, let's look at this right here. So this one is a aloe Christmas sleigh. So this is an aloe vera plant. What an interesting looking one. And this one is for $19.98. Let's see what this one is. This one is, it won't focus, some type of agave plant. And then look at this cool gray cactus plant right here. I really do like the look of that one. This one is a Euphorbia horrida hybrid for $19.98. Look at that. That is so cool. Now with this plant again, it looks like it would, it's actually either getting ready to bloom. Like I said, again, I don't know too much about these cactus. I don't know a lot about euphorbias, but what I do know is there are a lot of people that are just really into the cactus and succulents. There are some extremely rare ones that go for hundreds of dollars. You know, I always thought that like philodendron or aroids, which are pretty much the popular type of plant to grow indoors or just plant collecting in general, had really high prices. But I've looked at certain rare cactus and even succulents, and they can rival that. Now, my opinion about plant pricing, rare plants, if you want to call them rare plants, is the reason why people will spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on a specific plant. We can utilize like maybe the variegated philodendron billetiae, right? It's still quite a bit, maybe not as high as maybe 3 to 4 years ago, but it's still quite a bit. The reason why it is high is because there may not be enough available for the demand. And then number two, there are people that are willing to spend that money. That's basically what causes, plants to be a certain price. Like I, for instance, will not pay more than $20 for a philodendron pink princess. I would like to find philodendron pink princess for a much cheaper price. I found them on clearance for $7. And so I wait for when things go on clearance, because I know that some plants, on average, say like a philodendron pink princess or white princess, will be around the $20 range. And that's the reason why I've learned a lot being in a big box store, doing a plant shopping video. I can see what prices are currently and what is like a really good deal or what is a little bit more expensive. So for my plant foldies that watch this video, especially if you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, I would hope you guys have subscribed to my channel, because I'm literally doing plant shopping videos and showing you plants, potential pricing, so we know what's in our market. This one is for $24.98. So you talk about the yellow rose of Texas, you're looking at it. This is the yellow rose of Texas. Look at how beautiful that is. Very beautiful yellow color. My mother's favorite color is actually yellow. It is a beautiful color. It is the color of joy. A lot of people consider yellow the color of joy. It does bring a lot of brightness into the space, and it's just a really happy color. Speaking of happy colors, can we talk about how beautiful all of these caladiums are? I love caladiums. I have increased my caladium collection. My whole front patio is full of caladiums and coleus plants. That is my current plant obsession. I love coleus plants. I actually got home from a very long and demanding day at work, and I forgot to water my coleus plants this morning as I was leaving. I was running a little bit late, and I realized how some of them have really looked like wrinkly, and so I had to immediately water them. That is the only drawback about these beautiful coleus plants, is that they have to stay watered daily, especially in hot conditions like Texas. Like we are in the high 90s today. I'm pretty sure we're about to break 100 soon, but coleus plants, they can't handle that. They can't handle drying out. They will definitely let you know. They are very dramatic, but they're also dramatic to the point where if you don't like say if I didn't water my coleus plants today and I went another day without them, most of them would end up crisping up and dying. So that is the only drawback I see about coleus plants. Otherwise, they're so easy to care for. This right here, though, these crotons right here, these croton petras, are not really easy to care for plants, but it is another beautiful plant that if you grow them outdoors, it's easier to manage. And you can see here at Home Depot, any Home Depot, you will see that a lot of their tropical plants for like outdoor spaces are always put together. So you can see that is a cordyline Hawaiian tea plant. We've got a bunch of hibiscus. Now, if you're gonna ask me, I prefer the hibiscus that are more native to my area. Those hibiscus are definitely easier to grow in my grow zone, which is 8B. And then we can see right here, we've got a bunch of different plants that we're gonna take a look at. Let's take a look at this. So this I thought was actually a sunflower type plant, but this is actually some type of daisy, black-eyed Susan. This is a black-eyed Susan. Look at that. That looks actually pretty cool. Sometimes I find certain plants' names are just really hilarious and interesting. So I'm just curious, if you were to name a plant a certain plant name, what would the name be? Say if it was like a certain variegated monstera with a lot of white variegation. Leave that in the comments. I'm curious. And if you were to actually rename some of these caladiums, what would you call this one? I don't know what the particular variety of this is, but these are Vigoro plants again. I love that these are available. I love caladiums. I think the reason why I like caladiums is because they have such fun colors. Like some of it doesn't even look real. Some people might even find their patterns a little bit more obnoxious. I find them endearing. I find them interesting, and I find that caladiums are an easy to care for plant, especially when you're growing them outdoors. Now for my grow zone, which is 8B, I can grow those caladium bulbs in the ground, have them come up every summer, have them grow and then die off in the winter, and then next year they'll grow and actually spread even more bulbs and have more plants. So that's the thing about caladiums. They are perennials, and these ones are for $6.98. They almost look like syngoniums almost, which is why I find it interesting that it has more of like a triangular arrow leaf shape. But what's interesting about caladiums too is just the colors. I've seen some really white translucent colors, and that means that a lot of these plants need to be in shade. Caladiums are a perfect plant to grow in a more shaded area. Now, if you can provide it with bright light in the morning, you're gonna get the best coloration. That's the thing about caladiums. They definitely need bright light in order to really thrive. But you can see we have so many different colors. I really like the look of the caladium, and it is another plant that I would recommend if you wanna have like a really cool looking patio container plant. Now, Proven Winners is really coming out with some amazing caladium hybrids. Like look at that right there. And let's see what the name is. This one is Radiant, and I will tell you, it is definitely radiant. Look at how beautiful the colors are. I like that red and then that pink. I already know that I've mentioned this before, but I absolutely love pink plants. I think pink plants are just gorgeous. Anything pink related, pink variegation, pink planters, pink everything, I love. And that's the reason why I am all about these caladiums. This one is Blushing Bride. Look at that subtle pink that we have here, just speckles of pink. And then we just have different types of caladiums. I don't know all of the common caladium varieties. I used to, like that one right there is a really common one, like this leaf right here. Love the pink, super cool. I've seen some really cool hybrids of caladiums coming from Indonesia and Thailand. So that's another thing I would want to experiment. So Plant Foldies, have you guys grown caladiums indoors? If you do, let me know. And you already know we have to look at Hydra Helix. Here's another English ivy. You already know the story. Love English ivy. They hate me, but I still love saying Hydra Helix. All right, I'm gonna really stop. I actually get excited. If you can only see my face when I say it, I think it's so silly that I'm into saying Hydra Helix. So let me go ahead and stop. Now, Plant Foldies, let me know if you ever catch yourself saying Hedera Helix or the way I mispronounce it. Leave that in the comments. I know Terry, one of my Plant Foldies, leaves like 10 Hydra Helix shout outs in the comments. I challenge somebody to see if they can beat Terry on how many times they can put Hydra Helix in the comment section. Please do. I will respond to every single one. I will say Hydra Helix again. Anyways, this one is an Asiatic Jasmine tricolor. I ended up buying this because this is another type of ground cover that I like. And I've been finding like ground cover type plants, growing them in containers with the hopes of being able to take them indoors to grow them as an indoor plant. Whenever you think about plants, there is not a true indoor plant. Every single plant that you find that's labeled as an indoor plant came from the wild, came from outdoors. It just so happens that certain plants do better indoors than others. So we're gonna see if the Asiatic jasmine, which is currently growing out in my front patio in a container, if I'll be able to take that inside and grow it into like a hanging basket. But plant foldies, what do you think so far of all the beautiful plants? Look at this sea of beautiful caladiums. Look at how luminous and white it is in this darkness that we have at night. I love plant shopping at night. I think it's really relaxing, and I really love taking you alongside with me when it comes to the plant shopping videos. I find it really fun, and I always say this in all my videos, but I'm really humbled and thankful that you guys tune into the comments, tune into the live premiere chats, and really just make me feel valued as an individual that's really trying to make this plant content. While my videos might not necessarily be the most edited videos, I don't have these special effects, I just like to give you my raw insights, just the things that I come up with in my head to be able to educate you guys with some of my plant care tips. I'm not perfect. I told myself multiple times where if I just listened to my own plant care tips, maybe I wouldn't have so many plants hitting plant heaven. I've had a couple of plants make plant heaven. You know, my friends, Steven at I Live Plants, make sure you take a look at his YouTube channel, as well as Janae Simone. We have just a running joke about plants that made it to plant heaven. And then plant foldies, be sure to stay tuned for some of our collabs. We are thinking about doing a plant podcast as well, so definitely take a look at that. But plant foldies, as I just do some of my final walking around this Home Depot, while they didn't have as many plants as say like a local plant nursery, and I hope you guys have taken a look at my North Haven Gardens latest video. That one is a local plant nursery in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So many beautiful plants. I will still give credit to this Home Depot because they had quite a bit of plants. They look very healthy. There was just one that had some mealy bugs that gives me a little bit concerned, but overall, if you're just ever looking to relax somewhere, I would recommend driving to one of your big box stores and just really soaking up that ambience of all of these plants late at night. So plant foldies, if you like this video, please make sure you hit the like button. I really hope you enjoyed this installment of some late night relaxing plant shopping at a big box store. This is Richie at Grow Folds. Please subscribe with my notification bell on. I will definitely see you on the next one. Bye.